Hello. Thank you so much for joining us on our webinar today. We're excited to have the opportunity to tell you about Ready for K and our 3 family engagement programs, which reach parents and caregivers via text message. I'm Rebecca Honig. I'm the Director of Content and Curriculum for Ready for K. In my role, I build our curriculum at each age level and write our messages along with an amazing team. Before joining Ready for K, I spent a decade as a curriculum specialist and then a writer for Sesame Street, creating parent guides, children's books, and scripts. I've written for Emmy Award-winning shows on PBS, served as an ed consultant for Disney and Nickelodeon and Mo Willems, and created teacher and family resources for places like Scholastic, HITN, Compass Learning, and many others. I also spent 10 years teaching and have my own 3 young children to really keep me in check. I'm joined by my colleague, Maya Sussman. She's our Director of Product. She'll introduce herself later when she chimes in, but she is amazing. Our goal for today is to orient you around Ready for K. We'll tell the story of how Ready for K was developed and share about our evidence-based approach. We'll then give you an overview of our 3 programs: our Whole Child Core program, our Trauma-Informed program, and our Personalized Learning program, all of which use our approach and evidence base to address the needs of families across the country. If you're new to Ready for K, I want to take a moment to share why we do this work and how it all started, and how it informs the products we've created. So our mission is to create easy-to-use tools for great parenting, to improve the lives of all children, regardless of economic means. As a behavioral scientist and researcher, Ready for K's founder, Dr. Benjamin York, was heading a research group at Stanford University, and his goal was to figure out the best way to help parents support the healthy growth of their children. The need for family engagement was clear, as it is to all of us on this call here today. Research shows that there are strong links between children's early experiences at home and their development of core skills like motor skills, social and emotional skills, literacy skills, and numeracy. The trick was, and still is, that traditional methods of family engagement often present immense barriers to families, whether it's lack of transportation to get to a workshop, lack of childcare to attend a parenting event, lack of connectivity or data to log into a virtual parenting support. The barriers can be insurmountable for many. And they can exacerbate so many of the inequities families already face, as supports that are hard to get or hard to access oftentimes only make it into the hands of families who are already the most engaged. So Dr. York turned his attention to finding the most accessible solution available, and that meant text messaging. We know that 97% of American adults under 50 have cell phones, and 98% send and receive text messages, and those text messages have a 98% open rate. And traditionally underserved adults text the most. Additionally, the research on the efficacy of texting programs positioned it as an even more promising tool. Results showed that it could be a powerful way to help people achieve their goals. For instance, in healthcare, texting nudges were helping with weight loss, appropriate use of medication, and smoking cessation rates. In education, research showed that high school students whose parents received messages about their missing work and grades had a higher grade point average than students whose parents didn't receive text messages. With all of this great research pointing towards text messaging as an effective way to make positive change, there was a clear path forward. So the Ready for K team got to work building a program that would engage parents and caregivers in children's learning. The Ready for K approach would break down the complexity of engaged parenting into small, bite-sized steps that are really easy to achieve. It would provide helpful information, encouragement, and support to parents continuously over a prolonged period of time. and it would leverage the most accessible technology to reach as many parents as possible: text messaging. The result was Ready for K Core, an evidence-based family engagement program delivered via text message that gives families the tools and information they need to support their child's learning. We reach parents year-round, 3 times a week, starting at birth and continuing through 4th grade. Ready for K Core has a whole child curriculum. Everything is written at a 3rd grade reading level, so it's easy to read and act upon at a glance. And it's aligned to the early learning standards of all 50 states, as well as the Head Start Early Learning Outcomes Framework. It's offered in English, Spanish, and Arabic, Vietnamese, and Chinese, helping to ensure that it reaches all families in their home language. Here's how it works. On Monday, we send fact messages. Fact. Kids are excited to learn all about themselves. The more they learn about themselves, the more confidence they have to thrive in school. So fact messages provide information on a specific skill and why that skill is important to a child's development. These skills are carefully sequenced so that we're building both parenting muscles and child-facing skills in scaffolded ways throughout the year. And no matter what skill we're covering, we're always promoting positive and developmentally responsive parenting practices like following your child's lead and engaging in play-based hands-on learning. On Wednesday, we send tip messages. Tip: in the morning, look in the mirror together. Take turns naming your child's positive qualities. You have brown eyes, you are kind, you are strong. Tips give fun activities to grow the skill of the week by building on existing daily routines, like counting your steps on the way to the bus. Access and ease are top of mind for us always, so we always layer learning onto pre-existing moments. And to ensure access, we never require additional materials, just the people, places, and things that already exist in a family's life. And we work with experts to review and version messages for cultural appropriateness and to ensure that we're suggesting activities that resonate with all different lived experiences. And then on Fridays, we send growth messages. Growth: keep helping your child learn about themselves. As you look in the mirror, share things about your family, like where you live and your traditions. So growth messages offer encouragement and easy ways to take the skill a little bit further. And the Ready for K approach works. It was first studied in a randomized control trial with the Early Education Department of San Francisco Unified School District, which has a targeted pre-K program that serves the city's lowest income third. So we randomly assigned half of parents to receive program messages and half didn't receive messages. We found that parents who received the text messages were more involved at home and at school, and this was reported by teachers who weren't aware of which parents were receiving the messages and which were not. And we found that children whose parents participated gained 2 to 3 months of literacy skills over the course of the school year. We have extended the results of this study in several follow-up studies, and we have multiple ongoing evaluations of the program through partnerships with Stanford, Brown, and Notre Dame University. We now have the strongest evidence base in the field of digital parenting support. In our most recent survey, 94% of Ready for K parents reported doing a Ready for K activity at least once a week with their child. So parents do it. When they are armed with the tools and information to help their children succeed, they do it. The ultimate sign of empowerment is that parents and caregivers also report that after doing Ready for K activities, they start noticing everyday learning moments that we didn't even mention. They start seeing their day through a lens of learning. They tell us things like, I've learned how to turn everyday moments and tasks into learning opportunities. Now, shortly after launching Ready for K Core, we began getting requests for custom content developed to address communities' unique needs. And the first request came from a small rural coastal town. Their community was experiencing trauma at a higher rate than the surrounding towns. Community members were not getting the services they desperately needed to navigate challenge. Their suicide rates were exceptionally high, and they wanted custom messages that would help parents build resilience, messages that would help them recognize signs of stress, messages that would encourage families to reach out for help and connect families to critical local resources. So we created messages addressing these needs. Then, in the busy heart of the East Bay, this request was echoed. Too many families were experiencing isolation as a result of trauma. They wanted messages that would help their vibrant and growing immigrant population connect with others and build the systems of support that are proven to buffer trauma. Then on the opposite coast, the country's largest city reached out too, and they wanted messages that would help vulnerable families advocate for themselves and their children. And we created custom content for each of these partners, but the call for trauma-informed supports kept coming. And that is not surprising. In rural communities, in urban cities, in suburbs across the country, families are experiencing challenge and adversity at unprecedented levels. So we turned our attention to creating another program to add to our offering, a program purpose-built to support families impacted by trauma. It's called Ready for K Trauma Informed. The program has been in development for multiple years, and it was informed by mental health experts and agencies, community health workers, parents, and providers. This program's core goal, its reason for existence, is to help parents buffer the effects of trauma and to connect them with critical resources like food assistance, housing, job training, mental health supports, and language services, so that all families have access to the resources that can help them thrive in the face of adversity. Ready for K Trauma Informed is aligned to the Strengthening Families Protective Factors framework, which sets forth 5 characteristics or strengths that act to mitigate risk and buffer the effects of trauma. They include knowledge of parenting and child development, the social and emotional development of children, parental resilience, concrete supports in times of need, and social connections. And whether or not you use the Protective Factors framework in your program or elsewhere, these strategies or core strengths can be used to complement any trauma work you're doing with families. In our trauma-informed program, we cycle through these protective factors each month so we can cover multiple skills within each domain. So let's dive in and look at each protective factor now. So the first one we'll look at is parental resilience. We want families to be strong, not stressed, or strong when they are stressed. We want them to have strategies for managing their response to stressful situation and ways to function well as they navigate challenges. We want them to be able to bounce back when they face adversity. So within our messages, we cover topics like parental self-care, recognizing and managing stress, parental self-regulation, executive function, and healthy habits. And I'm just going to read an example from this domain. Fact: when you feel powerful stress, it can make it hard to parent or think. You might even feel frozen. Pausing and noticing these feelings can help you parent even when times are tough. Tip: today, think about moments when you felt stressed. What was happening around you? What thoughts were on your mind? What did it feel like in your body? These reflections power your parenting. Growth: keep reflecting. Now think about a moment when you were really stressed and got through it in a way you felt good about. How did you do it? This is the strength. You can use it again. I wanted to read this message because it highlights a key strategy used for helping families who are experiencing trauma. When humans experience a stress response, it is like a siren going off in their head. And we've all experienced this at times. And that alarm makes it impossible to navigate in our usual ways. So the first step in coping with a very stressful moment is to notice that you are stressed. Social connections is the next protective factor that we'll explore. It's having relationships in place that provide emotional support, informational support, and institutional support. Because it is far easier to handle parenting challenges, or any challenge for that matter, when we have positive relationships in place. Having a network of caring people helps families feel secure and confident because support systems are empowering. Within this domain, Ready for K Trauma Informed gives activities and information around recognizing healthy and supportive relationships, communication strategies for reaching out, finding places to connect, and conversation starters for connecting with other parents and with teachers. Here, I'll just read a growth message. Growth, keep reaching out. Try creating a reach out routine. Is there a friend you can call once a week? Is there a family member you can text each morning? So something to note is that this message and all of our messages have been versioned to be responsive to the COVID crisis. So for as long as we're all practicing social distancing, our messages focus on maintaining virtual relationships so that we can all stay connected even when we can't physically connect. Once we're back to our normal or former social ways, we will roll out our content that includes in-person connections and supports. So our next protective factor that we'll dive into is knowledge of parenting and child development. And this protective factor is all about understanding child development and parenting strategies so that you, as a parent or caregiver, can better respond to a child's needs. It's knowing what to expect at a given age and with a given child. And it's that knowledge that allows you to say, oh, so that's why my child is behaving like that. Or, oh, so that's something I can do to help them learn or cope or thrive. Within this domain, we have a comprehensive whole child curriculum covering math, literacy, and social and emotional skills. And we orient families around what kids are learning, why they're learning these things, and what parents and caregivers can do to support this learning at home. We also cover developmental milestones and how they affect kids' learning and behavior. We have a lot of messaging around positive and responsive parenting strategies. And we help parents to understand the reasons behind their children's challenging behaviors. And most importantly in this domain, we message on developing a healthy attachment, trust, and security, and ways to do this even during challenging times. The next domain we cover within the protective factors framework is the social and emotional competence of children. And this protective factor is all about family and child interactions that help kids develop the ability to communicate clearly, recognize and regulate their emotions, and establish and maintain relationships. It's all those strategies you use in your work with kids to help them interact with each other, calm down when they're upset, and solve problems. And as people who work with young children, you know these are key to getting anything done, and the same is true at home. Within this domain, we have messages that focused on calm down strategies, helping children to name and express their emotions, problem-solving skills, building routines and strategies that help kids feel secure and self-regulate, reading children's emotional cues, and finally, understanding children's challenging behaviors. Now, there is one protective factor that I intentionally left out. And, well, I saved it for last, really, and that's concrete supports in times of need. Now, how do we get at this last protective factor? Getting concrete resources into families' hands. We're remote, and this is likely something you may be struggling with in your programs right now, too. How do you connect families with critical resources when you cannot see them? Well, the short answer is you text them. For these same reasons that texting is a powerful tool for engaging parents, it's also a powerful tool for delivering local community supports. In Ready for K Trauma Informed, we give partners their own texting number, and we custom create messages linking to their local resources. And we call this the community support stream. So on your screen, you can see the Ready for K trauma-informed messages on the left and the community support streams linking to local resources on your right. To create this stream, we learn about the resources that are most key to each partner's unique community. For example, their mental health resources, their food assistance programs, their job training programs. And using our expertise in family engagement and behavioral sciences, we craft highly salient, action-oriented messages, driving families to participate in these programs. And partners can send messages through this community support stream too. They can also send their own surveys. Lately, we've been surveying parents on feelings about returning to school and supports needed to deliver at-home learning. So our partners can use this feature to learn about families' needs and respond to those needs in real time. Addressing needs, whether it be the needs of parents or partners, has always been core to our mission. And that leads us to our third program, Ready for K Personalized Learning. In the same way that partners requested custom trauma supports, we had a partner reach out about supporting families with personalized supports. And this was something that had been on our mind for a while. We had conducted a study in which we personalized our text messages based on child level data we received from teachers. And this study showed that sending personalized messages could increase our previous learning gains, which were 2 to 3 months, by 64%. We published the findings of this study in a journal, and this partner had read the study. And they were currently administering the Ages and Stages Questionnaire 3rd edition, or the ASQ3, with children. And they wanted to know, could we use children's screener results to create a learning experience on a per-child basis that responds to each child's unique developmental needs? And the answer was yes. Ready for K Personalized Learning provides families with a whole child curriculum individualized by their child's screening results from the ASQ3. Each family receives text messages that are based on their child's developmental needs. These messages support healthy growth and development within all areas measured by the ASQ3, which includes communication, gross motor skills, fine motor skills, personal social skills, and problem-solving skills. It also increases opportunities for families to access and take the ASQ3 screener. It guides and supports the referral process for families who need it, and it promotes parental knowledge and family engagement. So here's how it works. Parents take the ASQ, and the provider shares the results with the parent or caregiver. And then the results are securely delivered to Ready for K so that we can curate a personalized program just for that child. The program begins with a welcome message, reminding families that they've taken the ASQ3 and offering a little information about the purpose of the ASQ3 to check their child's development. We also include a link if families want to learn more about the screening tool. Next, families are reminded of the results of their child's screening. And if their child has been referred for a follow-up screening to look a little deeper into developmental areas where a child may require early intervention or additional supports, we remind them to reach out. And we work with partners to get the best number for follow-up and support, and we include that in our messages. For example, Isaac's ASQ3 results are ready. You may already know that Isaac's personal social skills are right on track. He's working on his communication, fine motor, and gross motor skills. However, Isaac may need some more support with his problem-solving skills. To get started, call 211, a service that connects you to the help you need. A support person at 211 can answer questions and give you the information you need to help Isaac. Simply tell 211 that Isaac took the ASQ3 and may need support in problem solving. They'll guide you. So in this instance, we worked with the partner to identify the best service provider for this particular need, and then worked with that service provider and guiding them in trying to understand what questions a family could ask to get the conversation started so that everyone is on the same page. And we work with each new partner to understand their referral process and guide families to the right point of contact. We send families personalized support that cycles through each of the developmental areas screened in the ASQ3 once we launch the program. If a child's results indicate that they're close to the cutoff with a given area, for example, communication, they receive fun everyday activities that support targeted developmental milestones within this area. For example, fact, Isaac is working on his communication skills. The more he talks, the more these skills will grow. Asking fun questions is a great way to get Isaac talking. Tip, at mealtime, ask Isaac, would you rather eat dinner with an elephant or a monkey? Why? Make sure everyone at the table gets the chance to answer too. If a child is above the cutoff in a given area, for example, personal social skills, they receive fun hands-on activities to strengthen these abilities and build skills to come in this area. For example, fact, Isaac's latest ASQ3 results show his personal social skills are right on track. You can grow these skills by doing activities that involve taking turns and sharing. Tip, share a set of blocks or other building toys during playtime. Build something together by taking turns adding blocks. As you do, say, your turn, my turn. And if the child is below the cutoff in a given area, meaning this may be an area where they need further assessment to determine if they may be experiencing a developmental delay, we send activities that support parenting practices within this area. These messages focus on parental modeling and self-care, and they don't require any response from the child. So, for example, fact, the world is a colorful place. When you describe the colors you see to Isaac, you bring his world to life. You also build his color vocabulary. Tip, take a color walk with Isaac. While on a walk or at the park, name all the colors you see. Point to each one as you name it. Look, a yellow leaf. So they don't require any child output. Families also receive regular reminders about how to connect with a live person for support and further assessment. And at the end of the program, families can receive a link to the next ASQ3 screening with a reminder that filling it out will allow us to continue sending messages based on their child's most up-to-date results. Their new results become the basis for another personalized program beginning the following week. If new screening results aren't available, or if a partner chooses not to screen children at every interval, which is often the case, the children's previous results become the basis for a new personalized program for the next screening. In this way, the messages continue to grow with children as they develop and change over time. So thank you for joining me on that orientation of our 3 programs. I'm going to pass the microphone to our Director of Product, Maya Sussman, who will walk you through what the partner experience is like and take you behind the scenes to see some of the many tools available to you.
Thank you, Rebecca. So Rebecca shared what Ready for K looks like from the parent perspective. And like she said, I'm going to take you behind the scenes to see how we work with Head Start, schools, districts, and other organizations to make this all happen, all with a focus on equity and access. So when I talk to our partners, I hear over and over again how important it is for you to make sure you're reaching and engaging all of your families, not just the ones who are already most involved. So we've designed an enrollment system that allows you to do just that, and without taking up more than a few minutes of your time. You just export your family's information from your database, student information system, or Child Plus, and then upload it through our secure platform. The only information we need is parents' phone numbers and home languages and children's birth dates or grade levels. You can enroll as many caregivers as you like for each child, and each caregiver can receive texts for up to 3 children. When you launch your parents, they'll receive a welcome message letting them know about the program and how to opt out if they choose to stop receiving messages. So I wanted to quickly share a recent study out of Columbia and Harvard that actually looked at how various different sign-up methods impact enrollment in a text messaging program for parents. So in this study, one group of parents received a text message asking if they wanted to opt in to enroll in the program. And they had to either respond to the text or go online to sign up. In this case, less than 10% of the parents who were invited to the program actually signed up. Now, a different group of parents was automatically signed up for the program, and they were sent a welcome message telling them how to opt out if they wanted to stop receiving texts. 96% of these parents who were automatically enrolled remained enrolled throughout the school year. Only 4% of them chose to opt out. And not surprisingly, the parents in the first group who received an invitation and chose to enroll tended to have higher achieving children and tended to already be more engaged in their kids' education. This means that programs where parents have to text in a keyword or enroll on a website to sign up might actually be exacerbating achievement gaps rather than closing them. So that's why we've made it really easy for you to enroll all your families, to make sure that all families have access to actionable and supportive information to help their children grow and learn, and to make sure that you can focus on the more intensive elements of your family engagement approach, like building relationships with families and supporting them one-on-one. So I know that this time of year, many organizations are setting goals for their family engagement work, and you'll be required to report on your progress and outcomes throughout the year. So how do you know that you're actually reaching all your families? How do you know that they're using the content you're sharing with them and that it's making a difference in their engagement with their children's learning? Well, we've developed a couple ways to help you measure the outcomes of Ready for K. First of all, our dashboard provides insights into live enrollment, persistence, usage, and demographic data. As you can see here, we show the total number of families enrolled, the number of messages sent over time, as well as enrollment growth over time, split up by languages. You can also see data on when phone numbers move from working to non-working, which can be a signal of distress in the home. And you can download the raw data in a spreadsheet to run your own analysis, as well as download a PDF of this dashboard to share with stakeholders. So scrolling down on this same page in the dashboard, you can filter the data by date range. So if you're reporting on a particular time period, you can see the number of families enrolled during that time period. And we also measure family engagement outcomes through quarterly in-text surveys. We ask families about their experience with Ready for K so you can know to what extent your efforts are supporting them. And these questions go out to families over text. All they have to do to respond is send their answer back in a text message. And we aggregate all the data for you so you can spend your time acting on the results of the surveys instead of sifting through spreadsheets of data. And here you see an example of the kinds of impact reports we share with partners. They include enrollment stats pulled from your dashboard, as well as quantitative and qualitative survey results. We're proud to have served over 300,000 families to date through partnerships with governmental and non-governmental agencies, as well as private educational organizations, including schools, Head Start agencies, United Ways, First Fives, state agencies, community development organizations, and so many more. And these organizations have drawn on many different funding streams to bring Ready for K to their families. Here you can see a couple examples, from Title I in the school district context to quality improvement funds for Head Starts, Title V for community health organizations. We often hear from organizations asking for help aligning their funding requirements to Ready for K, and we're more than happy to support you in that work. And we have a grant program available right now to help out with funding as well. We recognize that this is a particularly important time to activate parents as at-home education partners. We've worked hard to come up with the most generous, equity-based grant program we could because we want as many families as possible to have the support they need. So if you'd like to talk with us about your organization's needs for at-home learning support, we encourage you to complete the online application. So now I'll turn it back over to Rebecca to close out our presentation.
Thanks, Maya. So before we bring things to a close, I want to return to our mission, which is to create easy-to-use tools for great parenting to improve the lives of all children, regardless of economic means. As we build our programs, we are particularly motivated and encouraged in our work by what we hear from parents. And up on screen, you'll see a few testimonials from families we serve. I was going through a really hard time. I was very stressed right before my child started K. I was not focused on the fact that he's in kindergarten. The text helps center me. When I'm stressed, it's hard to focus on the kids. The texts help redirect me. here's something to think about. Having the reminder was really life-saving. The activities have helped me become more involved with my child and grow a stronger bond. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to spend this hour with you. And please don't hesitate to reach out. We'd love to chat further and answer all of your questions.